So the Temple of Her Skin is a very intentional journey that Laurence and myself decided to embark on, because we were both writing against the erasure of a certain kind of history of African women's tattooing and scarification journeys, but writing to fill with absolute abundance these stories that we also ourselves are interested to hear.
We wanted to tell our stories because the tattoo industry is huge, but we are non-existent in it. Jessica and I met into the tattooing industry at a tattoo convention. That mind though, I was aware of her magnificent bum online before I actually met her. So when we were at the tattoo convention, we said hi to, we greeted each other, and then the tattoo artist that worked on both of us was like, oh, here is, I was like, oh, you are the magnificent bum. She's like, yeah, and then we're like, oh my God. And it was so refreshing to meet another African woman like me that chose to adorn her skin in that way. And there was a story behind it. There was a story, it was beautiful, and I guess the idea was to collect more of these stories. Jessica approached me and asked me, it would be nice if we were doing, a project together, we would capture stories via photography of, African women with tattoos. And I was like, wow, that would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'm in.
There's a whole legacy of the huge diversity of African women who have tattoos and who have scarifications that we don't even know, because either nobody bothered to collect the story, or it was erased from the record, or it was labeled as demonic, or as inappropriate, or as something that wasn't of interest.
And it's very interesting because when you think of the history of tattooing and all of that, it started, in our land. It started there. Like, scarification is really the original way of marking our skin, especially in Benin, where I'm from. Up north, there is a whole group of women doing black work on their skin and their faces, and they don't even do it for a specific culture reason. They do it because they think it's beautiful.
It's fascinating to me that the first examples of tattooing that we know about were on Egyptian mummies, and they were actually on a specific group of priestesses that worshipped a goddess of the moon. And they were inked all along their stomachs. And they also have these figurines that have similar markings on them as well. And so if we look from that's ancient Egypt, if we look to Amazigh women in North Africa, if we look across the Sahel, if we look down into Southern Africa, what we find is that tattooing in particular was a woman's thing.
There's no documentation about African women with tattoos and scarification. The one that you have is from those tribes, very, very far away. In National Geographic, somebody told me once that's the only place they saw it in real life. We are here, but people are not aware of it.
There are a lot of images floating around cyberspace and people's Pinterest or Instagram pages of women with tattoos or women with scarifications. And they're usually only in two forms. One is a sort of hypersexualized, and the second is a sort of hyper-exotified. Every time I look at those images, I think, but who are you? What is your name? What is the story? And why and how and who and how did it feel and what are you saying with the markings on your skin? So this really is an invitation for us to find each other. We're building a community through this, and also to enlarge the space so we can allow these stories to come out for the world to hear, but also for us to hear.